Well, its official critics hate it, and the audience has given a collective shrug. The Crow remake has landed, and like a broken-winged bird, it's crashed and burned. Honestly, I'm not surprised. This is a story that never should have been adapted again. The original Crow movie was lightning in a bottle, a perfect balance of tragedy, vengeance, and gothic atmosphere brought to life with heart and intensity by Brandon Lee. That film, much like the graphic novel, had a raw, emotional edge that made it unforgettable. One of its defining features was the desaturated, almost black and white aesthetic, perfectly mirroring the stark, gritty world of the comic it was based on. It was art. It felt timeless. Why remake it? Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Demon, and today I'm talking about why the Crow remake shouldn't have even flapped its wings. We've already seen attempts to milk this franchise dry, and none of them, be it the lackluster sequels, and trust me, Salvation is the only one that adds anything remotely worthwhile, but I've covered that already, or the short-lived Crow TV series, ever came close to matching the power of the original. Every sequel was just a shallow echo of what came before, and while I do have a soft spot for Stairway to Heaven, it lacked the raw, visceral feel of both the movie and the graphic novel. It was like watching a neutered version of something that should have been dark and dangerous. It's fine for what it is, but it didn't capture that same haunting spirit that made the original Crow a cult classic. But this remake, it looks like just another soulless cash grab. The timeless visual style of the original, which was almost devoid of color, has been swapped out for a generic glossy Hollywood sheen. The film that once felt like it bled from the pages of a graphic novel is now reduced to something you could mistake for any other modern action flick. Gone is the monochrome palette that felt like a direct homage to the source material's inky shadows. Instead, we get something polished, sterile, and lacking in the emotional depth the Crow should embody. This new version lacks that gritty timelessness and instead feels hollow, like it was manufactured in a boardroom to squeeze nostalgia dollars rather than created from a place of genuine passion. The beauty of the original story was its simplicity and the emotional depth behind Eric Draven's revenge-fueled rampage. The 2024 remake is just a pale imitation, a glossy shell that's missing the heart and soul. In a franchise like The Crow, the film needed to stand on its own merit, offering something fresh or at least as compelling as the original. But instead we got a cookie-cutter action flick that's trying too hard to look cool without understanding what made the original a masterpiece. Instead of flogging a dead crow, pun intended, they could have explored new and more interesting stories from the Crow mythos. Why not dive into characters like Curare, who carried a blade stained with sorrow and revenge, or the chilling story of Billy and Dren? These characters would have brought something fresh, dangerous, and unpredictable to the table. New interpretations that didn't have to compete with the original Eric Draven story. At least those stories would have felt like a step forward rather than trying to shove a new face into an old beloved role and calling it a day. Curare's silent, methodical quest for revenge would have been such a fascinating angle, bringing a new tone and atmosphere to the Crow mythos. Or Billy and Dren, with their twisted, violent love story, would have added a layer of raw horror that's been missing from the franchise for far too long. At least then we'd be getting something new instead of a regurgitated plot that tries and fails to capture the magic of 1994's The Crow. I don't get why studios can't grasp that some stories don't need to be retold. The original Crow movie is iconic, with its washed-out palette, its gothic heart, and the tragic weight of Brandon Lee's final performance. It captured a moment in time that can never be replicated. Trying to remake that film was always going to end in disaster because it's more than just a movie. It's a piece of art that reflected its era, its loss and its raw emotion. You can't just slap a fresh coat of paint on that and expect it to work. If they were serious about reviving the Crow franchise, they should have known better than to remake perfection. They should have had the courage to tell new stories, explore different characters, and bring new blood to the table, literally and figuratively. But no, instead we get a remake that's as soulless as the CGI glow that now passes for atmosphere. I'm Snake Demon, and this has been The Snake Pit. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where I won't read them.